They say your best friend is the one person you can trust with anything. But what happens when the one secret you've been hiding is that you're in love with him? For years, I thought Aiden was untouchable. My straight best friend, the guy who could never feel the way I did. I buried every glance, every ache, every moment of wanting him, because losing him was scarier than silence. But one night, everything changed. One night, he told me a secret of his own, and suddenly the line between friendship and something more disappeared forever. I never thought one night could change the way I looked at my entire life. But that's exactly what happened with me and my best friend, Aiden. From the outside, we looked like every other pair of college roommates. He was the loud, confident one, the guy who seemed to know exactly who he was. And me? I was the quieter type, always in my head, always thinking too much, never quite saying what I really wanted to say. We met in freshman year, thrown together by chance in a cramped dorm room. I still remember that first day. He walked in with his duffel bag, dropped it on the bed, and gave me that easy smile. The kind of smile that makes you feel like you've known someone forever. "Guess we're stuck together," he joked, extending his hand. From that day on, we were inseparable. We studied together, ate together, stayed up late playing video games or talking about nothing at all. And little by little, I realized that my feelings for him weren't the same as what I'd felt for anyone else before. At first, I told myself it was admiration. I mean, who wouldn't admire Aiden? He was athletic without trying too hard, charming without being arrogant, and he had this way of making everyone feel like they mattered. But it was more than admiration. It was the way my chest tightened when he sat too close. The way my thoughts wandered at night, imagining what it would feel like if we were more than friends. I hated myself for it sometimes. Because Aiden was straight, or at least that's what I believed. He dated girls casually, always laughing off the serious stuff. And I was his best friend, his safe space. I couldn't risk ruining that, so I kept it inside. All of it. The smiles that lasted too long, the quiet longing, the ache I carried whenever he talked about someone else. I buried it under jokes, late-night snacks, and endless conversations about everything except the one thing that consumed me. But secrets, they don't stay hidden forever. It was the end of our second year when it happened. The night everything changed. We had just come back from a party, nothing huge, just a bunch of friends crammed into an off-campus apartment. The air was still warm with the last traces of spring, and the city lights flickered through the windows of our dorm. I was sitting on my bed scrolling through my phone, when Aiden dropped onto his mattress across the room with a heavy sigh. "Man, I swear, people can be exhausting," he muttered, rubbing his face. I laughed softly. "That's what you get for being the social one." He peeked at me through his fingers. "And what about you? You just sat in the corner the whole night." I shrugged, pretending it didn't matter. "I like watching people more than talking to them." He chuckled, rolling onto his side to face me. "Yeah, but sometimes I wish you'd let people see what I see." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "That you're not just the quiet guy in the corner. You're more smarter, funnier, better." He smirked. "But I guess that side's just for me, huh?" I froze. Did he realize what he was saying? Or was it just another one of his effortless compliments that left me reeling? I wanted to say something, anything, but the words caught in my throat. And in that silence I felt something shift. The air between us wasn't the same. He sat up, looking at me like he was searching for something. "Can I tell you a secret?" he asked quietly. My pulse quickened. "Of course." He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know how to explain this, but lately, I've been confused." "Confused?" I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded. "About me, about what I want, who I want." His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, the world felt still. "And I don't think I can keep pretending it doesn't exist." I didn't breathe. I couldn't. Because in that moment, I felt the foundation of everything we had built shake. Aiden, the straight best friend I had silently loved for years, was telling me there was something he hadn't said. Something that could change everything. My heart was racing so loudly I was sure he could hear it. I wanted to ask 100 questions, but all I could manage was a shaky, "What do you mean?" Aiden leaned back against the wall, staring at the ceiling like the words he needed might be written up there. His jaw tightened, then relaxed, like he was fighting himself. You ever feel like there's a part of you that doesn't match the way people see you? He finally asked. I swallowed hard. All the time. He glanced at me, his eyes softening when he realized I wasn't joking. For a moment, it felt like our souls were standing face to face, even if our bodies weren't. He sighed. I've been with girls. That's what everyone expects. That's what I've always done. But lately, it feels empty. Like I'm just going through the motions. He paused, his voice dropping lower. And sometimes, I catch myself wondering if maybe it's not girls I want at all. The world tilted. My chest ached with hope and fear tangled together like two wires sparking. I didn't know if I should be thrilled or terrified of what this meant. I forced my voice to stay calm. You mean, you might like guys? Aiden didn't answer right away. He looked at me, really looked at me, and the silence between us felt heavier than any answer could. Maybe, he whispered. Or maybe just one guy. Time stopped. The hum of the dorm refrigerator, the distant sounds of traffic outside. It all faded until there was only the two of us, sitting across from each other in a room that suddenly felt too small for everything unsaid. I couldn't move. My entire body was frozen, terrified that if I even breathed too loudly, this fragile moment would shatter. Finally, I managed to whisper, "Who?" Aiden's lips curved into the faintest, most vulnerable smile I'd ever seen on him. "You're smart. You can figure it out." My throat closed. Every part of me screamed to believe it, but fear clawed at me too. What if I misunderstood? What if this was some kind of cruel joke? But his eyes, they were too honest, too raw, too human for this to be anything but the truth. I felt heat rising in my chest, spreading to my face. My mind raced back over the years, the late nights, the lingering touches, the way his smile always seemed different when it was just for me. Had it always been there, hidden beneath the surface? I wanted to say something. Tell him how many nights I'd stayed awake imagining exactly this moment. But the words felt too big, too dangerous. So instead I asked, "Since when?" Aiden rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "I don't know. Maybe longer than I realized. I just kept ignoring it. But lately, it's harder to pretend, especially when I'm around you." His honesty cut through me like lightning. Bright, terrifying, impossible to ignore. I shifted on my bed, my voice barely steady. "Do you know what you're saying?" "Yeah," he said firmly, his eyes never leaving mine. "I'm saying that maybe the person I've been looking for has been right here this whole time. And I'm scared as hell because if I'm wrong, I lose the one person I can't afford to lose." Those words, "the one person I can't afford to lose," burned into me. My heart was screaming to tell him everything, to confess all the feelings I'd locked away for years. But fear still held me back. I whispered, "You don't have to say this just because you're confused." "I'm not confused about you," he shot back softly, almost desperately. "That's the one thing I'm sure of." The room spun. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, wind rushing past me, knowing that if I jumped I might finally fly, or I might fall and never recover. And then, he stood up. Slowly, like he didn't want to scare me, he crossed the small distance between our beds. He stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of gold in his brown eyes, close enough that his presence filled the air I breathed. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted, his voice trembling, "but I can't keep pretending anymore." I stared up at him, every muscle in my body tense with anticipation and terror. My voice broke as I whispered, "Aiden." And then, without asking, without overthinking, he leaned down, pressing his forehead gently against mine. Not a kiss, not yet. Just a closeness so intimate it felt like the world outside no longer existed. "I need to know if you feel it too," he murmured. My breath caught. Years of silence, of longing, of hidden love. All of it pushed against the walls I had built around myself. And in that moment I realized there was no turning back. Because yes, I felt it. More than anything, for a heartbeat I couldn't move. His forehead resting against mine felt both impossibly gentle and unbearably intense. Like every secret I had buried was suddenly alive in the space between us. "I do," I whispered, almost too quietly to hear. His breath caught. and I felt the tiniest tremor ripple through him. When he pulled back just enough to look into my eyes, I saw fear there, but also something deeper, hope. "You do?" he asked, like he needed to hear it again. I nodded. "I've felt it for a long time. I just never thought, I never believed you could feel the same." Aiden let out a shaky laugh, part relief, part disbelief. "God, do you know how many times I almost said something? How many nights I sat here wondering if I was losing my mind because I couldn't stop thinking about you." I blinked at him, stunned. "All this time?" "All this time," he said firmly. His hand twitched at his side, like he wanted to reach for me but wasn't sure if he should. I thought I was straight. I thought what I was feeling was impossible. But then I'd look at you and it felt more real than anything else in my life. The weight of his words pressed into me, loosening the fear I had carried for years. For the first time, the secret I had guarded with my whole heart wasn't mine alone. Slowly, I reached out and took his hand. His fingers tightened around mine instantly, as if he had been waiting forever for that single touch. It was such a simple thing, but it felt like a vow. We sat there like that, holding on, neither of us willing to break the silence. The world outside went on, the hum of the city, the faint laughter drifting from the hall. But in our room, time stood still. "Finally," he whispered. "I don't know what this means. I don't know what we're supposed to do." I squeezed his hand. "We don't have to know everything right now. We just don't have to hide anymore." His eyes softened, filling with something I had only ever dreamed of seeing directed at me. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that. And then, with a courage I hadn't known I possessed, I leaned forward. Our lips brushed, barely, softly, as if we were both testing the reality of it. It wasn't the kind of kiss you see in movies, desperate and flawless. It was trembling, tentative, filled with years of unspoken longing. And yet, it was perfect. When we pulled back, his forehead rested against mine again, his breath uneven. "So this is real," he murmured, like he still couldn't believe it. "It's real," I whispered back. "We didn't say, 'I love you.' Not yet." But in that moment, it didn't matter. The truth was there, pulsing in every glance, every touch, every breath we shared. That night, neither of us slept much. We talked in hushed voices, admitting things we'd never dared to before. How I'd hated watching him date. How he'd secretly compared every girl to me. How both of us had been too afraid to ruin what we had. And somewhere between the laughter and the confessions, we realized we weren't losing anything. We were finding something we'd both been missing. By the time the first light of morning slipped through the blinds, our world had changed. It was terrifying, uncertain, fragile, but it was ours. Looking back now, I know that night didn't just change our friendship. It changed me. It showed me that sometimes the secrets we bury the deepest aren't meant to stay hidden. They're meant to be shared with the one person who can hold them without letting you break. And Aiden? He wasn't just my best friend anymore. He was the beginning of the life I never thought I could have. And that's how one night changed everything. Between me and Aiden, a secret I thought I would carry forever turned into the beginning of something real. If this story touched you, or reminded you of someone in your life, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who might need it, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones we're too afraid to tell.